Hello, my beautiful patrons. Today I am sharing with you a question that I got randomly yesterday. This is one of my favorite parts of my job is to get a window into people's love lives, people's sex lives, people's most intimate, most vulnerable moments. And often, once people know who I am and what I do, the questions just pour out of them, which I love. So, this is a question I got yesterday morning, and it's a really common concern. So, I decided to turn it into a video. The question was from a woman who's married to a man, and the question went something like this. So, my husband wants to have sex every day, twice a day, and I just do not. She has two kids and she has a job that's very active. She's talking all day, she's moving all day. And when she comes home, she just wants time to relax and chill out. And her husband is just like ready to go. So she said, at the end of the day, I've been talking all day, I've been working all day, feed the kids, put the kids to bed, get myself ready for bed. And then my husband is like, it's 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go. And all I want to do is sleep. And this is but then she also said, like, look, when I'm on vacation, like, I want to have sex a lot. It's totally great. So this is, again, a very common question and something that a lot of couples struggle with it. Maybe you struggle with it right now in your partnership. So I'm going to share a couple of things that I told her yesterday and really some of my top tips for long-term partnerships. There's a couple of things that I find myself saying over and over again, especially to long-term couples, about like really understanding sex and desire in different ways. So we'll talk about those and we'll talk about a couple of other strategies. So one of the things I want to talk about is this idea of what's often called like mismatched libido. One person wants it more than the other person or more frequently. And this is very common. And that's not because anybody is doing anything wrong. So the way I talk to my clients and students about it is that, person A wants sex every day, twice a day, and person B wants sex once a week or once a month. Like, there is nothing wrong wherever you fall on that spectrum. The challenge comes when person A is then married or partnered with person B and they have different ideas. So just like the type of food that you want to eat might differ from your partner, the time of bed, the time you'd like to go to bed differs from your partner, when you get hungry, when you get thirsty, all of these kind of biological things differ between you and your partner and you wouldn't think anything of it. It's similar to sex. We have an innate interest in sex that can be kind of turned on or turned off. And so, one of the things I guided this person into yesterday was really thinking about not like chasing the idea of like, I have to want it more, or I have to be more available, or I have to be more ready or more turned on, but really thinking about the access point to sex being relaxation. So if you are busy all day, talking all day, you have small humans that you're raising, of course you are going to be tired at the end of the day. How do we work through this? We have to understand that we are not light switches that can just turn our sexuality on or off. Some people are wired like that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But most of us need to down regulate our nervous systems before we can think about feeling sensual or sexual. So when I talk about down regulation, what I mean is that like throughout the day, we're busy, we're going, we're talking, we're doing, and we are in this kind of adrenaline focused, cortisol focused fight or flight. This is normal. This is how we get stuff done. This kind of like low level of stress or activation is how we get shit done. We need to be in the rest and digest, the parasympathetic part of our nervous system, in order to be open to play and pleasure. Another educator I like calls it stay and play, right? I want to stay here, I want to stay relaxed, and I'm open to playing. So not only do we need to understand that we need time and probably practices or rituals to consciously shift ourselves from go into this like slow flow, stay and play. But we also need to understand that it takes time. So some of the suggestions I gave this person yesterday were to figure out transition points in your day where you can transition from the go, go, go of your daily kind of grind into a more pleasure, relaxed, focused, sensual filled afternoon or evening. So that could mean going for a walk together. It could mean snuggling and having a conversation. One of my favorite transition ways is to take a shower or take a bath. Dropping out of work mode, taking a shower helps me sink into relaxation, rest, play mode. I also use a lot of mocktails or elixirs to help me kind of create that purposeful transition of like, okay, now I'm drinking this herbal tea, I'm drinking this elixir. So this tells my body, tells my nervous system that it's time to relax, right? I'm not drinking regular tea. I'm not drinking coffee where I kind of am staying activated. I'm doing stuff that's going to help me downshift my nervous system. So that's really important. And your activity is completely dependent on you. Maybe it's doing some art, maybe it's singing and dancing, maybe it's, going for exercise, right? This is something that will help shift your nervous system. So find something that helps you shift out of it so that you can be better prepared to shift from go, go, go into slow flow and making space for pleasure. The other thing is really knowing how differently so many of us are wired. And this is where it comes to some of the most important things that I end up telling my couples and my everybody really. First of all, some of us are wired to have what we call spontaneous desire, which is it hits us like a bolt of lightning and we are ready to go. We are ready to play. Most of us are responsive desire. So that means that we need some things to respond to. It does not hit us like a bolt of lightning. We need a flirty text message. We need the expectation. This is where like scheduled sex can be really helpful if we, again, make space for all the other stuff and the downregulation. Having something to respond to can be very helpful for those of us that are a little bit of a slower burn. The other aspect of this is also knowing that, again, like we're not light switches. We can't just switch from doing into boom, relaxation, pleasure, and play. We need an access point into pleasure. So for me, it's often play. So for me, that play could look like a lot of different stuff. It could look like a conversation. It could look like going for a walk. It could be like cooking dinner together. It could be doing something together, having like a play wrestling fight or tickling each other, something like that, that kind of shifts me out of thinking and into body, into play. That's one of my access points. The other thing to know is that oftentimes when couples struggle with this type of challenge, the idea is that we need to add more stimulation, more novelty, more sex toys, more. And we really need to, again, focus on taking away the stressors, right? So if you are working all day and busy all day and distracted with the kids and legitimately busy with children, at the end of the day, no matter how many sex toys you have, you're still not going to feel like using them. And that is normal and that is okay. It's not so much about adding in new stuff. It's really about taking away the brakes. And this is part of the dual control model that's in our brain, where we have some things that are sexual brakes, things that turn us off, and there are some things that are sexual accelerators, things that turn us on. So again, brakes can be anything. It could be the email you forgot to send. It could be the bad conversation you had with a coworker. It could be this like overarching financial strife. It could be the climate catastrophe. Big things, small things, all things are valid as breaks. It could be something like, I didn't wash the sheets today and they don't feel clean. I need to do a load of laundry, right? Some of the breaks you can remedy in the moment. Some of them are big picture and might take some conversation or some other distractions to move away from. Accelerators are the things that turn us on, and that might be watching something sexy, reading something sexy, getting a flirty text message from somebody. It could be knowing that sex is maybe going to happen tonight because we're focused on setting aside this time. So understanding that we don't need more, we often need less. So if you are in a partnership where you are the person who wants sex more often, then your goal should be not to try and convince the other person to have sex more often, but should be, in fact, how do I take away stressors so that my partner can feel more relaxed? Because if my partner is more relaxed, and then they may be more interested in playing, right? So it's a dance that you both have to do. The other thing to know is that some people need sex to feel connected, and other people need connection in order to feel like having sex. And so, this particular person who asked me this yesterday, I shared with her that often, not always, but often for men, sex is the only place they get intimacy. So, this particular person is talking to people all day, helping people all day long, literally surrounded by people all day. And her husband works from home and doesn't talk to anyone. And this is partly their employment situation, but it's also societal challenges that don't allow men the space to be intimate with their male friends. They're maybe not intimate with their family. And so, for a lot of people, especially those in heterosexual partnerships, the only place men can get intimacy, closeness, connection is through sex. And so, whether you need sex first to feel connected or whether you need to feel connected in order to have sex, knowing that those two things exist might be a key to understanding what is going on in this particular situation. So those few things, the brakes versus accelerators, the sex versus connection, and the responsive versus spontaneous desire, are some of the three most important things that couples need to know to help reimagine the idea of sex. The final thing I would add is that for a lot of couples, sex can become routine, and we can't want something that we don't like. So if your partner doesn't want to have sex with you or doesn't want to have sex as often as you would like, it's worth asking, what are the things that would make them feel really good? Am I doing the things that will, again, help them relax and be more open to play? But also, am I creating the type of environment within which they want to be creative and curious and playful and open? Are we using pleasure to guide our play, or are we doing something just to check something off a list or to put, item A into slot A and see what happens? Because when we get stuck in those routines of like sex has to be one thing, sex can only mean one thing, and that's the only way we do it, it can get really boring over the years. So I invite you to be creative, be playful, and there's a lot of resources here on my Patreon, and I would love to talk more about different ways that you can rethink sex to remove the focus from having an orgasm and focusing, especially for hetero couples, on penis and vagina intercourse, and really instead focusing on what really feels good. Like maybe my partner really wants a massage, maybe they just want to cuddle, maybe we just do some mutual masturbation, which I'm going to record a video about immediately after this. Lots of different ways to play that help get you out of routine and help make the play more pleasurable, especially for the lower interest or lower libido partner. So for those that have this question, I hope that this is helpful. Please drop comments below or send me a text or email, and I'm happy to add more to the conversation.